If you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Well, I mean, it couldn't have gone worse, really, could it? Because not only should the shooter not have been able to get that close with a gun, certainly he shouldn't have been able to get up onto the roof. I mean, I don't understand how that's happened. I also don't understand why the counter snipers, which are there specifically for the purposes of picking up potential snipers, not necessarily should have shot him before, but should have certainly warned the team below that that he was there and to take the principal away, take Trump away. None of that's happened. It just seems a complete Fred Carno circus, to be quite honest. I don't know, I don't know whether they use the top teams, the bottom teams, or what for this, because he's not actually the president now, although he's still called the president. But how this happened, I mean, they need to have a good hard look at themselves to find out exactly where it all went wrong. Well, I mean, it was a complete disaster. The whole security thing was completely messed up. Now, I mean, the one thing about the US that I would say that we don't have so much over here is different authorities. So you'll have the sheriff, you'll have the state police, then you'll have the FBI, then you'll have the president's security team. How they all talk together is really key, and how they work together. Quite often, I remember, many times when they weren't even able to communicate on the same radio system. So, whether the local police that were supposed to be securing the outer, the cordons effectively, whether they were actually linked well into the rest of the team, I don't know. And this is something that they really need to have a look at, because they do like these big open air set piece events. And of course, set piece events, are an ideal opportunity for any would-be terrorist or assassin. But what you do is you choose the highest point with the best view, and that's where the FBI snipers, whoever they were located there. So they had a 360 view of everything, so they can see anyone that's getting access to a fireable position. Their job is not necessarily to shoot them, because it could be anyone. It could be a fan going up there with a flag or something. But their job is to let the principal's team know, and the other team know, to get the principal out of the way so that he doesn't get shot. Now, there's obviously some kind of a breakdown in communication. What should have happened, obviously, is that area where the guy got up onto the roof, that should have been secured, not necessarily the roof, but secured so people can't climb up onto the roof. Anyone walking around with a gun. I mean, the thing is, we're not the US. We don't have the same gun laws. We don't have the same desire to walk around with guns that they have. So, seeing someone with a gun is not abnormal in the US. In the UK or in Europe, that would be really odd and would have been dealt with. But so there's all sorts of issues at play here. I also think there's an issue with the fact that there are so many of these events flitting around, so they got the two would-be presidents going around at different locations. So the security service details have got to be everywhere, and they have got lots of resources, but they've got to pre-visit all these locations. They've then got to work with the local police to set up a security system. So something's clearly gone wrong here, and that's what they need to get their heads around. I've been involved in enough events to know that people do make mistakes and cock-ups, and some are better than others at security. We don't know the resources that were available. I mean, there's so much we don't know until that whatever inquiry takes place. We won't know. But what I would say is that something really went amiss. The whole perimeter security clearly wasn't good, or you wouldn't let someone in with a sniper rifle. The fact that the snipers were on the roof, the counter snipers were on the roof, should have seen him. There were a number of people that I've seen that were warning of this guy climbing up on the roof with a gun, and the local police or whoever it was, it may have been security guards, I don't know, didn't react to that well enough. You know, all of these things, but also you have to play into the fact that I think Trump probably is not the sort of person that you can easily say you're not going on today, you know, there's a security concern. I think he may so I don't know until you know exactly the full details of why he wasn't pulled off the stage earlier, or why the snipers chose not to take the shot earlier, or why the perimeter security allowed someone in with a gun. I mean, all, you know, sod's law happens, but this was a real security calamity. I mean, the US is very different. I think they're more likely to lose their jobs in the US. What I would say is, you do have, I mean, whilst he's called the president, he's not the president. So the president, I imagine, Biden will have the A team effectively with him. The fact that Trump has so many of these events, you know, it's literally on a day. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 a day, you know, in order to get his message out there. So there's a lot of these events to look at and to secure. But it does come down to each event. And, you know, my learning from all this is that, you know, you do have to take every event very, very seriously. And probably the lower end events are more deadly, or more potentially deadly than the higher profile events, because you've got more resources at your disposal. But that doesn't to get away from the fact that there were, you know, it was a security calamity, and who's responsible for that? I'm sure in the US they'll pay the penalty. I think the security services, secret services, would be a little bit embarrassed, but also whoever's in charge of the local policing, because they've allowed a guy to walk in. You know, the security services can only, the secret service can only do so much. They haven't got resources to patrol everywhere. So I'm sure that the local police, state police will come in for some criticism as well. There are so many mad, sad and bad people across the world. In every country, in the US, they have a particular problem because they give mad, sad and bad people guns. And if you give mad, bad and sad people guns, you're going to get bad things happening, which they have on a daily basis. You know, why does someone go and commit a terrorist attack? You know, it's generally not necessary. It's for infamy. They want to be famous, and this was his hit at fame, I would think. But we'll find that out in due course. But you know, there are so many people out there that would like to be famous for 1 second, and if you give them a gun, then you're going to have problems.